Hey, so I wanted to check in on Microsoft. So it's been about a week. We last looked at them on August 9th, so here we are now. The stock went from 322, now it's at 316. We also noted that there was a short-term uptrend on this one starting in January and to buy the dips. We also noticed that it might have broken the uptrend. So what we'll do is we'll just look at the news, what's been going on with this company between the last time we looked and now. And then we'll go into the technical analysis to see is 316 a good time to pick this one up? And if it's not, what is a good time to pick this one up? So, yeah, let's just get into it. So, last time we looked at them, they did recently put out their earnings. Uh, they expected 55 billion and $2.55 per share. They ended up beating by a fair margin, more than we've seen with a lot of other companies, especially around this time, putting up 56 billion and $2.69. They also gave us guidance looking ahead for about 54, between 53 and high 54, so more like between 54 and 55. This, of course, changed a lot of things. So this was prior to earnings, and we're just going to look at a couple numbers here. Um, right here, the quarterly return was, and this is for next quarter, so September. Before earnings, they were saying $2.41, maybe around 50 billion for the quarter. Um, uh, they had full year guidance close to $10 per share and guidance for revenue of like 214. After earnings and guidance, this went way up here. So now all of a sudden it's 54 billion, which matches guidance, but a big step ahead. If we just flip back and forth, going from 50 up to now 54 and a half, and also looking at the surprise ratings, they most likely are going to fall in line with this. And then also earnings going from 241 all the way up to 265. The full year earnings per share, that's going up close to 11 as opposed to close to 10. And then they tacked on another 20 billion in revenue. That might be a little bit high, but if they can have this 11% growth, then it seems reasonable. So we'll just keep following along to see what actually happens there. But guidance is already picking up, and analysts are noticing that. So moving on to the more recent news, Microsoft Azure is meeting the growing needs of healthcare organizations such as Mount Sinai Health System. They announced that Epic Clients, one of the New York's largest academic medical centers or systems, can use Microsoft Azure large instances designed to achieve the scale needed to run electronic health record databases such as Epic. Microsoft also announced that they are going to shut down Xbox 360's online store on July 29th, 2024. They're doing this to focus on the latest consoles and subscription services, Game Pass. Yeah, so I guess it's just that's what they currently have, uh, and it's more meant for the older systems. And now that they're kind of cycling through those, getting them out, they want to move on to the next system. So this is just, I guess, an upgrade in a sense. Next we have, and this is the last article before switching on to technical analysis. So Microsoft was in a little bit of a pickle here. Microsoft's role in data breach, part of a U.S. cyber inquiry. So what happened is U.S. Cybersecurity Advisory Panel will investigate risks in cloud computing that will also include Microsoft's role in the recent breach of government department email systems by suspected Chinese hackers. Microsoft has been under increasing scrutiny following revelations that hackers allegedly operating on Beijing's behalf got hold of one of its cryptographic keys and took advantage of a coding flaw to win sweeping access to the company's cloud email platform, most notably some members in the government. And so uh, I believe that's one piece. And then the other piece is there's this cyber safety review board that will review uh, cyber safety review board's review will provide recommendations to help organizations protect against malicious access to cloud-based accounts. So this is a new issue, it seems like. If Microsoft's getting hit with it, uh, I guess I'm surprised it's taken this long. I'm sure there's been other instances, but here we go again, supposedly. Um, Not sure if this would necessarily hit them hard in any real way. It's just more, it's a concern. Uh, you never want to put a company that you like and want to do well in this type of light. But the fact that Microsoft's so large and so advanced, I can't imagine this will hurt them. Maybe in the short term, it could impact them just by having like a negative noise around them right now. But as long as this review board comes in and Microsoft can address these issues, patch it, make it stronger, I think we'll move forward and provide a better product. And hopefully that product doesn't cost too much to actually produce. Seeing as it's tech, it may be a little more R&D, but in terms of actual revenue versus cost of goods, I don't expect that to impact. But again, still very early in this story. We'll see how that plays over time. Moving on to the technical analysis. So we kind of alluded to this earlier, and we can zoom in. Last we checked was really just about a week ago. So just to share this in advance, so we have Microsoft here. It was trading at 322, now it's at 316. Here's the buy points, resistance points. Again, we actually picked this one up at about 322, so maybe we'll add more. But yeah, short-term uptrend. We noted to buy the dips. It was in a dip last time we looked, so we picked some up. May have broken that uptrend and pulled back. And so that's the question. Should we just keep adding on even when it goes down? Ideally, yes, but at the same time, we don't want to, we don't know how long it's going to dip for. And so that's kind of the thinking of having buy points. But I don't want to get too far ahead. Let's just kind of go through this as normal. So last time we looked was right around here, I take it, on the 9th. So it must have been, I don't know, a Wednesday? Or maybe a Friday? Either way, it was roughly in this bar because it's only been a short period of time. So about 322, this is where we noticed, hey, it broke the uptrend. But we didn't want to remove the uptrend because so many times we've seen stocks pull below the uptrend only to bounce back within normally 1 week is common to see it stretch out 2, 3, potentially 4 or 5 weeks. It does happen. It's not as likely to kind of pull back in as you stretch out time that far, but it definitely happens. And even if we zoom back out to the beginning, I mean, here's a perfect example. It broke trend, but bounced right back in the next week. Here's another quick example. It actually went above trend for a week, 2 weeks, and then that third week it finally pulled in. Even the fourth week it kind of danced on the upper half or that limit, that uptrend range limit, ultimately consolidating sideways. So right now it's trading at 316. The buy points we had were 281 and 333. So we just picked up, I'm just trying to refresh myself. So 333, that's clearly the green line here. That was a slight support line where it reached roughly that area in early June, and then it really just kind of traded in like a $15-20 range for over a month and a half, close to 2 months. And then just recently, 3 weeks ago, it's now pulling back. And so the initial buy point, which I'm surprised I don't have it here. I don't know why I left it off. I guess because it broke, maybe that's why. But right now, like this week, to be within the uptrend, the bottom of the channel would have been 336. I guess that's what I was seeing. It was more or less intersecting, because now that I look at this week, that's about 334. I put 333 because that's where that support was found, so that makes sense. That was the point that I was looking at, and the fact that it was at whatever I said, 322, seemed like an even better pickup, so I did pick it up. And actually, while I'm here, I'm going to remove the purple. Let's see. The next buy point I had was 281. So if this one keeps pulling back, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to add in 303, and I'll explain in just a second here. 303 is probably the next buy point that I'm looking at. So I'm going to make that the bold point. I will keep 333 in for now, but it's not going to be my point of interest. 303. So 303 is actually a resistance line, and you know, we'd be thinking normally 281, that's the next support, and that's why we do have that in. But a lot of times what I've seen is a stock will pull back and actually bounce and find support at a previous spot of thought to be resistance. And so just to kind of hedge my bets a little bit, because there's no guarantee that this one's going to pull back all the way to 281 just because it broke this uptrend. It definitely could and will likely add there, but Microsoft is just, it's a company that I really like. We've seen good revenue, good earnings per share, good guidance. So the fact that this is pulling back, I would say the fact that we picked it up already last week when it broke uptrend, that's fine. You know, if I didn't pick it up last week, I would definitely pick it up this week, because again, it's that dip opportunity. But again, because we already kind of built, we purchased at that time, we're kind of in this no man's land where, you know, if it picks back up and gets to 333 again, potentially I would add another share there. Alternatively, if it continues to pull back, I'm kind of wait until probably like 303. If it pulls back to like 303, I would probably, you know, maybe buy one share, you know, dip my feet in the water a little bit more. And I'm doing that, like, I'm not loading the boat necessarily on every single dip, because again, there's going to be other opportunities out there. I don't want to put it all in Microsoft, even though I feel like I probably could and I would do okay. But it's just not as exciting, I guess. So that's just my strategy. That's how I'm playing this one for right now, because it broke uptrend. Yeah, I'm looking for 303. Now is probably a decent time to buy. It's just, again, because I've already purchased it around this price, I'm now waiting for my next buying opportunity, which I think it could test 303. If it does, I'll probably pick up there. If it wants to keep pulling back, I would expect it to more likely bounce at 281 or somewhere in that range. But again, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. I think one thing I will change is, because this uptrend's kind of breaking, I'm going to pull this down a little bit to kind of match this, and we'll just see how this plays out. In terms of resistance, right now 344 is still the mark. I also had 374. That again was assuming that it would get back in the uptrend, and the limit of the uptrend for that week was 374. So at this point, that is just so far away. And again, because the uptrend's broken, we're going to remove that. I guess 344 is the only resistance. What we could do, it's kind of too early, but what we could do is just start drawing in what potentially could be a a downtrend here. Again, just kind of drawing in something just to have it. Still very early in this stage, but potentially this is what we could be seeing and might be how we need to play this. Again, it's still very early in the game for something like that, but just to kind of get our heads thinking about it, we're just going to put that out there. And, we'll just go as we can. So I really just have the one resistance point at 344. I guess if this downtrend wants to continue, resistance at maybe like 326. If it tested 326, I would kind of be like, I don't know. So I'll put that one in. But again, 344 is the number of focus right now. I will update the date to today. And then, let's see. And then as far as the note that we left ourselves, that short-term uptrend since January buy dips may have broken the uptrend and pull back. We'll leave that in. Like I said, probably another week or two. If it keeps pulling lower, more likely I'll remove it sooner. But again, we'll just leave it in for probably another week or two if it keeps going down this trend. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So just a quick recap for us. We have Microsoft here. I'm marking it a buy for probably one more week, just because in case we didn't pick it up, which we did, I feel like it's a good opportunity to pick some up. That said, it likely looks like it's on a downtrend, and because of that, if it keeps going this way, that's going to turn into a red just because it's in that downtrend. We won't like it. At least not until it gets closer to like 303. So actually I think what makes more sense, because again, this is our stuff, I'm going to give this one a fair value. Is Microsoft fair value. I'm very tempted to call this one a buy though. It just seems so good. But again, because it broke the last buy point, I'm going to wait until 303. And if it gets closer to 303, I'll pick it up. But right now, it's kind of in the middle. So, that's just how I'm seeing it. So, just a quick update again. Microsoft, I'm changing it to fair value. It blew, with the caveat that had we not picked this one up last time we looked at like 320, this would be a buy for me. But because we already put in an allocation at around this price, I will just let it slide, I suppose, and see if it pulls back to 303. And at that point, I will add another share to this. But again, that's just me. If I can answer any questions, like if you have any questions for me or want to leave any comments, I'd be happy to read that, and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, that's it. So please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.